Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Good Saturday morning to all of you out there. Welcome to another installment of 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Wherever you may be tuning in, we are glad you are doing so on this particular Saturday. It's State Championship Saturday as yours truly greets you from Harrisonburg, Bridgeforth Stadium, the site for the VHSL Class 6 and Class 5 State Football Championship games, which if you're not going to be making the trek to JMU, James Madison University, I got to be careful making that joke I did with my dad last night, who you'll see later in the program, Ed. I said it stands for just UVA for JMU. He didn't like that. He about backhanded me. But JMU is a great facility, great school, and it'll be the place where Maury and Oscar Smith try to bring home some hardware to the 757. We've also got our team from Hampton Roads and Phoebus going for a championship today, but some compelling title games all across the board. You have undefeated Oscar Smith taking on unbeaten Madison coming up at 5 o'clock Eastern. That's in Class 6. Class 5 features the undefeated Maury Commodores with a 29-game winning streak taking on Briar Woods, who's 10-3 out at Liberty. 5 o'clock kick for Phoebus and Varina. Varina's got 2 playoff shutouts. Phoebus has 3. Class 3 defending state champ Liberty Christian will be taking on the Kettle Run Cougars, who are unbeaten after defeating Lafayette last week. And in Class 2 and Class 1 out in Salem, you'll have Graham, the G-Man, unbeaten at 14-0, taking on the Strasburg Rams, who knocked out Pocosin, while it is Grayson County, a 3-loss team, a number 3 seed, playing for the Class 1 final against Essex, who fell last year in the title game. How are you, sir?
Feel good this morning. Cold, took the doggy for a walk out there in the cold. Feels like it's 30 degrees.
What do you think the temperature here is in Harrisonburg?
What I think it is?
Yeah, what do you think it is?
Well, I'm going to guess 38.
Well, don't look it up. You're looking at your phone.
Suffolk it is 40 right now. So
it's 21 degrees, but sunny here in Harrisonburg.
We have sun too, but it's a little bit, I don't know if I can use the word warmer. We have more degrees than you. I'll put it that way.
We say good morning to Kim Jarvis out there. We say good morning to all of our viewers, wherever you're watching on CoVA Sports TV, our Facebook channel, VirginiaPreps.com, Instagram, Twitter, X as they call it, LinkedIn, all over the web. Our man Bob Lanham's going to be one of our photographer extraordinaires. We got some great photographers today. We got Jack Sporhoff at Liberty today. We got Ray Williams, the one and only. Jordan's father, Jordan, who played at Cox High School, got a chance to have some history this year. We'll talk about that in a second. Played at Virginia Tech and Clemson as well. He'll be at JMU for us today taking pictures. And, of course, the one and only Sideline Bob will be out there at Salem. And he told me to tell you, sir, that you better pick the Browns over the Chiefs. Good Jameis this week. He's invoking the spirit of Otto Graham. How about that? Ooh. The spirit of Otto Graham. I got a kick out of that when I read Otto Graham's name.
Well, I would just say this, Bob. The Browns would need vintage in his prime Otto Graham and Marion Motley and a few of those other Browns from way back whenever. They're not beating the Chiefs.
Yeah, okay. Well, we'll see. But yeah, you never know. You never know. I might be picking them later on the show. And by the way, I have to, as I mentioned, Jordan Williams, by the way, Toronto Argonauts CFL, got to be a part of some championship glory, helping them win the Grey Cup this year over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mentioned him and his dad, Ray, now taking pictures for us at VirginiaPreps.com. But I also have to give a shout out to our man, Bruce Pearl. You know what Bruce is going for today? Virginia Beach Mustangs?
Championship.
He is the 11U championship with the Virginia Beach Mustangs. So good luck to Bruce. I think they're kicking off at 10:30 today. I think you can watch that online. So we're keeping our fingers crossed, our knees and toes crossed, if you can keep your knees and toes crossed, for Bruce and the Mustangs to bring home some hardware to the 757. He's got one of the best Pop Warner programs in the entire country, various age groups, and they're going for a national championship today. And he's won championships before, but it'd be great for Bruce to get that, as he is now caught up to you in the NFL picks and tied you up after last week's perfect 3-0 week for him. You, sir, were 2-1, and I was dreadful yet again at 1-2.
We'll get into the picks later. I actually thought I was 1-2. I keep forgetting who I'm picking, so I'm glad that I got a 2-1, and then Bruce has tied me. So have to see what's going on with his picks this week. I got a few surprises this week.
Well, you always have surprises. And we have a surprise for all of you out there. We're going to do Fact or Fiction for the first time since June when my pops beat you on Father's Day weekend. He's going to try to get you again. I think he's now won 7 in a row against you. He's just been kicking your fanny. There's Bob chiming in, on the road again. There you go. On the road again.
Be careful, Bob, on the road. Be careful.
Yeah. Don't hit the – by the way, there are deer signs out here in Harrisonburg. We almost missed one last night. Almost missed one. Get that? Almost. We did get it. We have a lot to go over with you this morning. High school football talk. We got Gary Hess. You know Gary. He is the voice of Richmond high school football. He had me on his program. He will join us in the 9 o'clock Eastern hour. We're going early today. He is, by the way, the radio host for News Radio 1140 WRVA and sports director there. He's emceed, I think, here for a lot of years, the Virginia High School League Hall of Fame ceremony. And by the way, I have to give a shout out to one of my splendid writers at Virginia Preps. He wrote for many, many years, Roanoke Times and Bristol Herald, now does some work for us. Robert Anderson getting that well-deserved call to the Hall, I should say, Hall of Fame. You'll see that list coming across our ticker here now for the Virginia High School's Hall of Fame new inductees. So terrific that he is going in. And enshrinement dinner at the end of April. But our entire team, from Robert Anderson to Robert Edmonds and Danny Lewis and Will Garlick and Jim McGrath, have been doing yeoman's work with these previews that you can find on virginiapreps.com with in-depth info on all the teams for the championship games. Of the 6 championship games that I mentioned to you earlier, and we'll also hit on a little high school basketball from last night because that's where your mind is all the time, 24/7, 365 is high school hoops. Which championship game do you think is the best of the 6? Because I do think there's a consensus on which one is the best. I want to see if you are in line with that consensus or if you are somewhere else. And again, your options being Oscar Smith Madison in Division 6, Maury and Briar Woods in Class 5, Class 4 featuring Phoebus and Varina, Liberty Christian Kettle Run in Class 3, Strasburg Graham in Class 2, and the last one being Essex Grayson County at the Class 1 level.
I'm probably looking hard at Smith Madison.
Really?
2 undefeateds. I feel Maury is going to handle Briar Woods.
Okay.
I think Smith Madison will be a closer game.
You say that, and your pick, real quickly, for those that haven't seen it on virginiapreps.com, your pick is a 19-point margin for Smith over Madison, minus a 7-point gap. And you've got Maury winning by 26, which is the same margin, not the same exact score that I have them defeating Briar Woods. I thought for sure you'd pick another game, but continue on. Go ahead.
I'm looking at my picks now. I guess looking at my picks, the close game I have is Phoebus Varina, which – on paper, you got, again, 2 well-known programs.
That's what I thought you'd pick. I think that's the consensus that is going to be the best game.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all my scores. I got Essex winning 40-8. Wow.
Grayson County.
I have Phoebus and Varina as a close game. I think my Smith and Madison's pick of 33-14, I think I picked it in my excitement. I think that's going to be a lot closer, and I don't think the winner's getting 33 points.
Agreed, which is why I have it 24-17, but go ahead.
Yeah. I would probably drop mine down to maybe a Smith, maybe a 21-18 win.
You're not changing. You do this every state championship Saturday. We're not changing your picks after we published them. We're not doing that. It doesn't work that way. I can't in the middle of the third quarter when I've made a bad pick or selection on the Ravens Eagles say, you know what? Hey, Nunzio. Let me change my selection of it. I can't do that. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way.
I changed mine. I already changed it in mine.
Well, you're not. It doesn't work that way. You got to stick to your dad.
I am the commissioner of my own vigilance, so that I have made the pick.
Vigilance. Yeah.
21-18. I will keep Maury at 38-12. Phoebus 21-14. Yeah.
Folks, he'll change these scores again in the second quarter when somebody gets up 17-0 and he says, I picked the wrong team. He'll do that. And he'll say, yeah. You didn't get my message, Matt, but I changed that. I had 21-16 is what I had. Yeah.
When you have those kind of situations, you have to do what they call as a cash out. and then hurry up and get
Cash out. Well, no, you don't do that with high school games. I sure hope to heavens you're not doing that with high school games because you really have problems.
That we're betting on high school games because that's not
you have more issues than I have, and I have a whole set of them. But
yes, yeah, you do. That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say I'm going to say Madison and Smith. Both those programs are used to being right where they're at today, but then again, my eyes would be on Phoebus and Varina because again, tons of athletes.
Should be. By the way, I think why you initially, when I said all that, you said Smith Madison because they're both 14-0. So if you're just looking at the record and it's the highest classification, that makes sense. And by the way, I think that could be the best game. I don't think you're wrong if you believe that. I think it's probably between those two games, the Class 6 and Class 4 game. I don't think many people, if any, really truly believe, unless they're a diehard fan of Kettle Run or Briar Woods, that Maury or Liberty Christian is going down today. Both of them are riding long winning streaks near 30 games. Now, Phoebus' winning streak is at 48, but they're taking on a really, really strong Varina team that has shut out Tuscarora and shut out Huguenot, two offenses that aren't known to get goose eggs on the board. Essex, Grayson County, it's Class 1. Anything could happen in those situations, but Essex is viewed as a team that's been knocking on this door here for a lot of years. Riverheads was their thorn in their side, and then they fell short last year on that field goal by a freshman by Galax in a weird, wonky, low-scoring game. And then Graham, by the way, unbeaten at 14-0, probably got its toughest battle with Glenver last week, and they're still viewed as probably a couple-score favorite against Strasburg. So, yeah, I think your two best games could involve Oscar Smith and Phoebus today. And I don't think people would be shocked if they went the other way, although there are a lot of people in Tidewater that feel very confidently that both will win today. I think they both will win today, but I wouldn't say it with the same level of confidence that most of the natives have right now.
Well, I'm hoping we get a sweep for 7-5-7, obviously today in this, but it'll be interesting. I think Essex, I'm interested to see how many points Essex really puts up on the board. It's a team that, they can be in the 50s and 60s real easy. But a lot of times in your state playoff, your state championship games, things are a little bit more conservative by the coaches. You don't see big scores. I mean, you're in the state championship. It's the two best teams in those classifications, so you wouldn't think somebody gets blown out or whatever. But I'm interested to see just how many. I have Essex for 40 today. I believe they will get it.
So of the scores that you see on our screen right there for the folks, as we recalibrate it, you see the championship, 11:30 a.m. today, Essex and Grayson County. Let's go through real quickly the state semifinal results to get if there was one of the two or three, maybe one of the scores that may have caught your eye in terms of a surprise. You had Essex over Alta Vista 30-8, Grayson County over Rye Cove 40-34. That was a back and forth head spinning game. Grayson was down and they came back and won at the very end. They were up in that game. Rye Cove, it was back and forth towards the end. Strasburg got Pocosin by a whisker. Graham had to score with 4.5 minutes to go to beat Glenver and hold on there. In Class 3, you had Lafayette going down 27-7. Liberty Christian over William Byrd, which was probably expected, 49-14. 2 years in a row, they blow them out. Phoebus and Varina both pitching shutouts in their games with ease. You had, in addition to those two shutouts, you had two teams fall short with 14 points, Green Run and LC Byrd. Maury and Green Run was a lot closer than we all probably thought. Briarwood's doubling up Byrd. And in Class 6, Oscar Smith pulled away. It was 7-7 second quarter, 14-7 at the half, and then they smacked Colonial Forge in the second half. Madison over Lake Braddock, 42-19. I mentioned on the hash with Hatfield, the two teams that fell in defeat but have to feel good about their performances was Glenver in Class 2 and Green Run in Class 5. I think they both can hold their heads high that they battled two undefeated teams and had chances to win. And Glenver's case had a lead in the fourth quarter, and Green Run's case had the ball in the fourth quarter with a chance to tie or go ahead.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that. I thought, Maury, nothing against Green Run, but just the way Maury's playing, I thought that was a 3-touchdown win, even though Green Run is very good, and they were hung right in there with them. Same with Glenvar. A little bit of me was ready to pick Glenvar to win that game, just to try to catch up with you in the playoffs. But then I figured I'm too far behind you, so it wouldn't matter anyways. But Yeah, I would say that those two teams, I like to think anybody that reaches this point, semifinals, definitely the finals, when you lose, yeah, it's tough because you want to move on, you want to win, or you want to win that state title. There's nothing like it. But it's almost like I say to my teams, if we're there, we didn't lose. I mean, we got here when a million other people didn't get here. And hopefully that the returnees for the following year, you feel this loss stings, though most kids within 24 hours, it's over with. Coaches keep it inside them longer. So that's more motivation for next year when you get back on the field or back on the court, that you want to get back there and finish and leave as a champion. But when you get to this area, especially semis and definitely championship, and lose, you got to be proud of your season. Yeah, it's a long football. All the sports are a long time, but you got to think football's out there in the heat of the summer. Now, they don't put the pads and that on, I think, until 1st of August or the end of July, but it's a long haul. And to end it with a state championship really, really says it's worth it. But I like to extend that backwards a little bit and say, at least we get into that semifinals, you've really done something.
All right, before we take a timeout, I want to, and I'll give you a couple basketball scores to digest from last night. We're not going to spend a lot on basketball because it is state championship Saturday. I don't think it's appropriate to go all in on hoops when it's state championship Saturday. Let's take a couple of, I don't know if we can call them superlatives: best defense, best quarterback, highest scoring, lowest scoring. Highest scoring team today, you got to take one of the 16. Maury's not a bad option, but I think it's going to be Liberty Christian based on my scores. I think them and Kettle Run could be a shootout. My highest scoring game, I've got at 48-28. I think that's the highest scoring team. Based on your numbers, it looks like you have Essex. So are you all in on Essex to be the highest scoring team, or have I swayed you Liberty Christian with the Gatorade State Player of the Year and Gideon Davidson and an offense this year, Ed? They haven't lost like Essex had that one loss that they later avenged against Rappahannock. But Liberty Christian, with that powerful running game and massive offensive line, having not scored less than 28 points in any game this year, will be the highest scoring team today. You all in or you all out?
I'm going to stick with my prediction of 40 points for Essex as the highest scoring team, and Liberty Christian right behind them. Those two I put up on top. I just don't know. Graham would probably be third for me, even though I have Maury scoring 38. I don't see Smith, Maury, Phoebus game, those three games, people scoring real high because opponents, each of who they're playing. So my pick would be Essex.
All right. Will there be a shutout today? Yes or no? Neither one of us has picked there to be a shutout in today's state championship games. And as I look through some of the recent results of state championship games that I do now here, it does appear that we've had it before, but I'm trying to find when the last one we had was. So last year in the championship round, looks like there was not, I don't think, any shutouts. You had last year, it was Freedom over Highland Springs 42-34. It was Maury over Stonebridge 45-34. It was Phoebus over Salem 21-14. It was Liberty Christian over Lafayette 28-14. It was Riverheads falling to Radford 39-21, and that 7-6 Galax Essex games we mentioned. Will there be a shutout today? I think we both have it as no. Now, there are a couple defenses that are capable of it, but what's your gut tell you?
I don't think so. I think the teams are too good. Offenses are too good. There's a lot of great defensive play in this state championship too, but I just think everybody is going to score. I just, my brain wants to tell me Phoebus would have the best shot at shutting out, but Varina puts points on the board too. But it's not casting doubts to Varina. It's just how good Phoebus defense really is. But I don't see a shutout.
Okay, and then two more for you that I'll throw your way. If you have one offense, one defense to win the game, be it drive down the field and win the game, be it defensively, you're up 3 to 4 points. You got to get a stand to win the game. What offense are you rolling with? What defense are you rolling with? I'm imagining you'll be 7-5-7 biased here on your selections. Give me your two picks there.
even though I have Essex with 40 points, in that to answer that question, offensively,
They don't throw the ball like other teams. This is why you're going to that. I know, but go ahead.
yeah, I'd go Liberty Christian in terms of offense.
Ooh, wow. I don't,
yeah.
but go ahead. I think they're like Essex in that sense. I don't trust their passing game to have to go win the game on the last drive, but go ahead.
Right. Defensively, Phoebus.
So you go LCA and Phoebus. I would actually go Maury with the offense and the defense to get to – you know what, though? Because of the matchup today, I think Phoebus might have the best defense, but I would go Oscar Smith's defense because I don't think the Madison offense is as two-dimensional as Varina's, where their quarterback, Caleb Weiss, could present more of a threat. I would go different from you. I'd go Maury and Smith, which makes me the 757 bias guy. Though I would caution, I do think Graham's defense should be more considered than some would pick because I don't know if Strasburg can piece together a drive, having throw the ball at the end if it's a one-score game to beat Graham either. So that's how I shake it down. And now give me your best quarterback. Do you have a best defensive player in today's championship game? I'll let you go first for a quarterback if you're picking a team. Newkirk at Maury comes to mind right away because of his stats, almost 4,000 yards through the air. But you got Brady Carmichael of Briarwoods going to Navy. You have some young guns, sophomores like Lonnie Andrews III of Oscar Smith, Maricus Banks of Phoebus, Caleb Weiss of Varina, who we just talked about. And you also have a quarterback who is certainly putting up big numbers at Kettle Run and Jacob Mulhern. So where are you going with the quarterback if you got to take
quarterback? I stay with Maury.
Okay, Newkirk. You like me?
And Newkirk. It's probably because I'm so used to hearing his numbers, being here in the 757. But I think you could still get that. Defensively, I'd got to go with somebody off of Phoebus. Give me
Caleb Tillery, Brendan Thompson, one of those linebackers.
Yeah, probably Thomas.
Okay.
What's interesting in when you get to the state game, and I think if we had all these coaches on a panel, they would say it. What got you here is what you're going to do. And if you're used to putting a lot of points on the board through the air, and you come up against a defense that shuts passing down, has pretty much shut passing down all year, you better be more than that one-dimensional, and vice versa if you're a running team and they're really good against the run. But I would think in a situation like this with Maury, it's put so many points on the board. And yes, maybe somebody's going to say, well, they haven't played anybody like who they're playing today. Yeah, they have. And they still put points on the board. So that's why I'd go with him at quarterback. And then Thomas at linebacker for
Brendan Thompson, not Thomas. Thompson
at linebacker for Phoebus. Because every time I hear the word Phoebus, even though they can put points on the board too, I think shutouts. I think defense. And they're such a great team defense. It's not just one guy dominating on a football field and stopping everybody himself. I don't think one person is that capable of doing that. You're going to have multitude of defenders that really buy into defense, really pursue the ball very well, or at the line, they're just great at stopping that run at the beginning of it. And of course, in the defensive backfield, it's people that can really defend passes, covered people, number one. Number two, make sure the ball doesn't get to the receiver. So I think Phoebus does that as a complete defensive team.
Okay. And I don't disagree with you on the quarterback pick. Defense, you could go a lot of different ways. By the way, Ari Watford for Moore today is not going to be in action. The Clemson signee, Tariq McCain, electing to hold him out after sustaining the injury last week in the end of the first quarter against Green Run. Tell you what, Madison's got a bunch of gritty defenders. I don't think one stands out. Oscar Smith's got a lot of good defenders. I don't think one stands out. Phoebus is really good. I don't know that one stands out. Varina's got a really good defensive tackle. They nickname him Bull and Jay Sean Richardson. Again, it's hard to say there's a single defensive guy that stands out. There might be in Class 2, there's a kid named Omari Hill at Graham, who could be the guy that stands out today with about 4 or 5 sacks and gets about 6 or 7 tackles that are impactful behind the line of scrimmage. He might be a guy, but there's no real, top 250 national recruit, some linebacker or edge rusher with Watford not playing. I will say there's a guy from Moore that could make that name and that's Kendall Daniels, the safety who's going to South Carolina, who you heard from after they beat Warwick in the semifinals. So he could be the guy that makes his name, but it's hard to pinpoint just one guy. That one's a tricky one of all of them. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we come back, I'll give you a wrap of basketball in 5 minutes or less with the scores, and we'll see if Ed can chime in 5 minutes or less on that. And then you'll get a chance to hear from one of the coaches, either Mike Burnett of Briar Woods to preview their game with the Maury Commodores, which we had on the hash with Hatfield, or Justin Counts of Madison to preview their game with Oscar Smith. We'll let Ed have his pick. And then after that, we'll have Gary Hess on the show. We've got Fact or Fiction coming your way, NFL picks too. It's all around the corner on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We're going to hear from Town Bank, Chichos, and some others. Stay tuned. You're watching 757 Saturday Sports Talk on CoVA Sports TV.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Just paint, we transform spaces. Visit covapainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
I've learned that just one person saying to me, "You've made my day," makes my day. Until next visit, this is Andy Rooney for Poolside Adventures. Let's go back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk with two guys who probably aren't making your day, today or any other day. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young at the Plex.
Well, not at the Plex. I'm in Harrisonburg. Ed is somewhere in his mansion in Suffolk. I think that's where his mansion is, unless he relocated. But you never know. It's time to go give you a basketball wrap of 5 minutes or less. I'm going to set the timer, and if it exceeds 5 minutes, that means the minute that the horn sounds, you or I have to shut up immediately. Can't say another word. You could literally be saying, "But you know, Matt." So you got to stop. You ready to do this? 5 minutes or less? Think we can pull it off?
I'm not sure. I'll try it.
Try it. I mean, this would be great for you. You never finish any of your thoughts because they're always over 5 minutes. So here we go. Let's give it a shot here, starting now with a little bit of music. Here we go. Whoops. 4 minutes. Here we go. Starting now. Here we go. 5 minutes or less. Go through the high school basketball hoopage from Friday night's action you had on the boys' side of things in terms of results in high school hoops. The Smith Packers, Chris Brown's team, a winner 66-59. They're 4-0 on the season. 4 players in double figures led by Jaden Wiggins is 22 points. Grassfield, a winner over Great Bridge coming from behind. 20 points from Jaden Reed. 14 points, 8 rebounds from Grant Warren. They beat the Wildcats 57-52. Sophomore Kelly King Jr. has been balling out for the Wildcats in her first-year coach, Pat Dillon. War Hill, a winner over York 66-46. Lansdowne, who we saw on Wednesday in a tough loss to John Marshall. Well, John Marshall put up 100 last night. They were down early against Westfield. Didn't stay down for long. Eagles had a bit of a struggle with Princess Anne, only winning 65-56, but that freshman Damian Robinson with 19 points and 4 steals to lead the way. Corin Buckingham had 17 points and 8 steals to lead Oscar Smith with Hickory 84-33. Was that a dog sneezing? What the heck was that? I don't know what that was. More high school basketball scores before I let Ed jump in here. You had on Friday night's action It was Catholic over Midlothian, 102-34. Ashton Walker was going to Radford at 29 points. Darren Centerland, D. Nice of the Maury Commodores, 300 career wins as Adrian Newton scores 19, and they beat Churchland 63-55. Sam Nader-Horsky for Norm Hassel's Knights, 33 points, a career high, 10 rebounds to go with that. Kellum over Ocean Lake, 77-39. Justin Burrow leads Norfolk Collegiate past Life Christian, 84-46. Green Run, a winner over Cox, 70-48 behind David Trey Miller's 18 points. Grafton over Bruton, 72-59. Jacoby Brownlee with 25 points. Bayside, a winner over Salem, 64-42. Tallwood over FC, 64-58. And that pretty much hits the high points, the low points, the middle points for the area scores in high school hoops on the boys. I'll give you some girls action as well. But Ed, your takeaways from those?
Pretty much, I saw some of the scores earlier today, so it looks like there was no upsets, pretty much according to plan. Kellum, surprising. I won't say surprising. They're really off to a hot start. I don't think they've lost yet. Did see Lansdowne play against Marshall. Lansdowne, young team. They really come at you on defense. Gave Marshall all they can handle. I think they just got worn out. They had played the night before, and it was a short rotation for Lansdowne. So I could see why they had worn out. It wasn't a great shooting night, especially early for them. Congrats to D. Knights, Darren Sanderland at Maury, 300 wins. Just getting started at Maury, and there will be a playoff factor team at the end of the year. I'm hoping to see Maury play today against my former club, Nansemond River Warriors, over in a tournament at Showcase in Denby. That's my plan, to be there to see that, as well as Green Run, who got the win last night. I think they have one loss so far. They're playing Norview today. Mm-hmm. So I'll get to see a couple of those teams that I think are probably – I did my top 20 list, and both those teams are in the top 20 list. So, anybody who wants to see Marshall, go to YouTube, John Marshall, Lansdowne. Marshall from Richmond, they're ranked in the country. Lansdowne is one of our better teams around here, and they will probably be a state tournament team also.
You can also watch the State Football Championships with NFHS Network. As you see it scrolling across the ticker, we'll tell you more about that as we move it along. Some girls' scores. I want to throw in two more boys' scores to get Ed's reaction to those with the girls' scores here while we have some time. Nansemond River boys beating Lakeland 83-67. Christian Jordan had 18 points to lead the way for Joe Hassel's Warriors. And Manor beating Booker T. Washington 86-20. Tough time for the Bookers. Girls side, PA over Lansdowne 80-21. Amani Olds with 22 points, 5 steals. So if you keep track, she had more points than Lansdowne's entire team. It was Catholic girls over Poly out of Maryland 47-35. Gemma Ellaby with 16 points, 15 rebounds. Kellum girls, they're playing some ball. Mia Spain, Lizzie Clark, and that crew. Carolyn Cassidy with a triple-double as the Knights beat Ocean Lake 68-43. Hampton over Oxon Hill of Maryland 63-34. Manor over Booker T. girls 85-9. My goodness, Ryder Smith's team roaring there. Granby over Norview 64-31, and Grassfoot over Great Bridge 86-29. One more for you on the girls' side of things. Private school-wise, Norfolk Academy over Ivanhoe Grammar of Australia 62-46. Haven't seen a lot of girls' action, but PA is head and shoulders, knees and toes. They're the queens of girls' basketball. 20 seconds left. Go ahead.
Yeah, girls' basketball, for some reason, things go according to plan a lot more than the boys. I've seen Kings Fort girls, Nansemond River girls, Hampton girls. They're good. Those three teams are very good and should be playoff contenders as the season goes on, and will only get better.
Wow, you did it without the horn making you have to shut up. You did that pretty good. I'm surprised. You ruined
when I put my mind to anything, pretty much I can do it.
When you put your mind to it.
Now, if I was going on one of my rants, you could throw that clock away because it ain't going to work with me.
A mind is a terrible thing to waste. And by the way, we also have up here one of our comments. John Huffman wants to know about Ari Watford. Will he be playing today? If you're just joining us now, John, no. Coach McCain has elected to hold him out to preserve his future. Did have the ankle injury. He is not going to play in the game today against the Briarwoods Falcons. And it did take some of the wind out of the sail, no doubt about it, for Maury's offense. They were up, I think, 14-0. And then from there, and they were getting the pass rush with him and Leslie Hines. From there, things changed considerably. To Green Run's credit, Maury was able to overcome it too. Damon McDaniel Jr. with the INT to seal it. But it's a new day that's behind Maury now, and they're going to have to win without him, Ed. It is a big factor not having him in one regard, but Maury has enough pieces that it shouldn't derail them, you would think, unless they're to play poorly on both sides of the ball, not just defensively but offensively.
Yeah, I think that's one team that can absorb a loss of somebody good. Now, he's very good, though. I mean, that's the key. I mean, he's a main guy.
He would have been my defensive pick if he was playing today, probably.
Yeah, he would be a main guy. And
now Carlton Smith at linebacker, by the way, is going to Maryland. He could be that pick as well. He's probably going to get state defensive player of the year. He's been a wrecking crew on defense this year in terms of the tackles for loss, total stops at linebacker. He has been a menace. So it wouldn't shock me if he had a 13 tackle, 4 sack, gets a fumble recovery or a pick today and ends up becoming the star of the day.
Well, I think the big part of that, losing him, is that pressure put on the opposing quarterback. But again, they have enough pieces. As I said, they're one team that could probably absorb a major loss. Most teams cannot absorb a major loss. Mm-hmm. They're probably one of the very few that can. And, if Maury were to go down today, you just wonder how many people will say, oh, if they would have had Watford, they could have won. But
sure,
I don't think Maury will let that be a question.
Well, since we're getting ready to take a timeout, we got Gary Hess coming up at 9:30. Would you like to hear what Briarwood's coach Mike Burnett has to say about that? Because we do pose it to him about the absence of Watford.
Yeah, I'd be interested. Let's see what Coach has to say.
Okay, we'll take a timeout and come back with that when we return here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe. We've got Fact or Fiction coming your way with some neat sports trivia questions. Mike Hatfield's been over here trying to tug at my notebook to find the answers. He's not going to get them. Sorry. He's trying to cheat like Ed does. He learned it from Ed. And we've also got NFL picks.
I'm already declaring protest because
no, he doesn't have – it's not.
He's right there with you. It's your dad. He could whoop you like he did when you were little because you needed it. So I would imagine you would give him a couple answers. So I'm playing it under protest, but I'll still play it.
No, we don't operate that way. Anybody that knows me, I am by the book, letter of the law. We don't cheat. Ed believes in life. You can't steal if you must, but always cheat. Not me. But we'll hear from Mike Burnett of Briarwood's coming up after this timeout, and we hear from CHKD Sports Medicine. Stay tuned. 757 Saturday Sports Talk.
I'm Dr. Mark Cardelia, orthopedic surgeon and surgical director of the CHKD Sports Medicine program. We see a lot of knee injuries in student athletes these days, and many of these are ACL tears. Parents often ask how to know when a knee injury may be serious. The most obvious symptom is severe pain or swelling in the knee joint. Your child may have heard a pop when the injury occurred. Look for signs they can't put weight on the knee around 48 hours after the injury, or if the knee feels unstable or wobbly. Those are all signs you should see a CHKD sports medicine specialist. Our sports medicine physicians, surgeons, athletic trainers, and physical therapists understand the needs of growing athletes and tailor treatment to fit each child's age and level of activity. Our goal is to accurately diagnose the problem in a timely fashion and provide the treatment that will ensure a safe return to activity. Kids want to play, and we want to help them get back in the game. To learn more, visit chkd.org. Sports medicine at CHKD. We're more than a hospital.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
CoVA Painting. We don't just paint, we transform spaces. Visit CoVApainting.com or call 757-550-7357 and mention the Sportsplex for 10% off of projects over $1,000.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7 right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Back here on The Hash with Hatfield, we are joined by a special guest. Now he is the head football coach of the Briarwoods Falcons. He's taken a couple of teams to the state championship game before. You think back to his days at Tuscarora and Broad Run, and now he has Briarwoods back to one step away from the ultimate glory in a championship. They'll be taking on the Maury Commodores on Saturday in the state finals in Class 5. We say hello to Coach Mike Burnett. Coach, great season for you guys. You're playing in the state finals this December. What more can you ask for, right?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, this is what you shoot for when you start in August, and here we are.
Tell me about you coming back to Virginia. Your career is well documented. I think you're well on your way to Hall of Fame status, in my opinion. I'll say it for you. I know you won't. But what you did at Tuscarora, what you did at Broad Run, you go to California, you come back to VA. What drew you to the situation at Briarwoods, which I know you've seen them from afar. You used to play them, so you knew what the program had and what it was capable of. But what drew you to it?
Yeah, I've always kind of been a program builder. I kind of like to do that. It's been my passion. And, when my family decided to come back here, my sons go to Virginia Tech and JMU, so it seemed to make a lot of sense for us. The opportunity opened, and they had been struggling for a while. I think since the glory days. I think when Trace was here, and and so it was. But I think the foundation was here to turn things around. I think the foundation is a lot of places to turn things around. You just got to put in a lot of work, and so that was what was attractive for us.
Well, it didn't take too long for you to get to this point, and we all felt like, I remember saying to someone last summer that, it's going to be Morey and Stonebridge again. I said, watch out for that guy Burnett. He knows what he's doing at Briarwoods. They could get there. He's got a senior class, a good one with guys like Brady Carmichael and Trey Dudley and Colin Capistrant and Lucas Russell. We'll get to all those guys in a moment. But for the last couple years, knowing that Stonebridge was that hurdle, I imagine you felt there would be that collision course in the playoffs with them again, and you had another close battle with the regular season. Take me through just the preparation and what you felt. Did you knew when you got to this job a few years ago that this would kind of be that 2024 year was the year you were pointing towards to maybe make that big splash and run?
Yeah, I mean, historically, it's always year 3 or 4 when you're building the program. You kind of got to get your kids in and the kind of things that you want to build. It's getting harder and harder these days because so many teams and programs, there's so many kids moving and transferring, and that's really not what I do. It's not what we did here. I'm pretty proud to say all the kids that are playing on Saturday were here as freshmen with us. They went to our middle school. And that's the difference for me is, this is a really great group of kids who we saw them as freshmen. And we thought, if we can keep them together in the midst of all the distractions that are out there nowadays, hopefully we can do something special. And it worked out pretty well.
It really has. This year's team, I watched your first game on NFHS. You played John Champ, who's a really good program, played for a region championship against your old school in Tuscarora in 4C, and you lost at the end on a field goal, 7-6. I remember saying, my gosh, that one's going to sting. But there were some things that were positives in that game. Take me back to your journey because you had some blemishes, close ones, them, Stonebridge, North Stafford. But I felt like a turning point was that game in early October. You played Fort Hill out of Maryland. You beat them. That was a team that's really good that a year ago you didn't beat, got shut out by. Take me through what you've seen as how this group has evolved, the evolution, the growth, the maturation, if you can.
Yeah, that's a great question. We're not a deep team. I don't know that many teams are nowadays. I think numbers are sadly like declining in football a little bit. And so we're very thin and we have fought through injuries. I mean, we started the season injured. I'm not going to lie. Until week 9 did we have what we consider most of our team healthy. And I think in ways that really helped us because a lot of the younger kids who had to fill in and get us through some of those tougher games that we slipped up in, have really, really risen the occasion. And now, we get these kids back. I mean, I think it's really made us whole and at the right time. And I think and I think you're absolutely right. The Fort Hill game was pivotal for us because, we were missing a lot of kids against North Stafford. We didn't play well. And we went and had to go up a 3-hour trip. It was a great environment up there. If anybody ever gets to play up there, it's real like old school, fun town football. And we played real well. And I think we came together and said, we can do this, even if we have some injuries, and we kind of fought through the injuries. And then when we got healthy, we're a pretty good football team.
Well, take me through how Mike Burnett's brain works, which I know this could be a scary thing here. You football coaches are creatures. I mean, you're different creatures. I heard John Harbaugh recently for the Ravens make the statement to the television pre-crew that it's a big difference between 8-4 and 7-5. You were 2-2, I think, going into that game. It's a big difference between 3-2, 2-3, right? So you're probably thinking like this game is going to matter for us in terms of seeding, hosting in the playoffs. And let's be honest here, getting a chance to host a region final like you did in a state semifinal made a big difference for you all. And I'm sure your fan base and your community loved that. Yeah, no, you're spot on. And that was the game. And we look at that game and we said, this is a tough football team, and if we lose, we're 2-3. And you always, no matter who you are, you're always at risk of losing the locker room. I mean, people talk about if this happens and this happens. I mean, they're high school kids, and they need confidence. And I've always said that people are like, oh, it's not all about winning. It's about winning because
winning is what makes them feel. It makes all the lessons you're trying to teach them make sense, and they'll stay with them, and they're going to stick with us. And I thought that win really turned the corner for us. And since then, I thought we played some really good football.
You have, and one of those guys helping you play really good football is Brady Carmichael. Not only does it do it on the defensive side of the ball, he's headed to the Naval Academy. He's thrown for 2,375 yards, just 4 picks, 19 touchdowns, leads you in rushing with close to 1,014 TDs. This has got to be your type of football player, Coach, huh?
Yeah, he's what you build programs around. I mean, I've never pretended that. I tell people I've never won a football game. I'm on the sidelines. So, it's about the players. And when you got a player like him, I just think he's the best all-around football player in the state. I personally believe it. I mean, I know there's a lot of great players out there because it's not always about, measurables and playing at the next level. It's about a kid. He plays linebacker for us. He plays outside linebacker. And then he's on the field. He's our leading runner. He's our leading thrower. And he's our toughest kid. We've been outmatched physically a few times this year. And I think he brings an attitude that really spreads to the rest of the team. And, I've told people I'm excited for our country when he's the kind of kid who's going to go serve in the Naval for you. You got to feel a little bit better.
Hey, pretty special that he's played on state championship Saturday. We got Army Navy as well as we chat with Mike Burnett, head football coach of the Falcons of Briar Woods, who's taking them down to a state finals to go with his great time of taking Tuscarora and Broad Run to the title game as well. It's On the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and interact with us wherever you may be tuning in. Coach, in addition to him, Trey Dudley, who's now going to Syracuse, was initially committed to JMU, so he could have played his last high school game before going there, but he's going to Syracuse, ACC. You got Colin Capistrant at receiver. Tell me what they bring, because they're like Lucas Rosser as well. They're guys that do it on both sides of the ball, correct?
Yeah, these guys, particularly, Lucas and Colin, because they've played, all 14 games, every single play. It's unbelievable what these kids have done for us. Lucas is, he's an all-state linebacker, but he's had to play. We had to move him at tailback because Trey is a great athlete, is a great player, but he's missed 6 games for us, and so and hasn't really been able. He didn't, get back in the backfield for us as a running back. So, when you look at kids like Lucas, who can be the middle linebacker and stop the LC Bird offense and then turn around and run it like a battering ram, because he's not really a running back. That's impressive. And then Colin Capistrant, I love throwback players. I mean, he's just a great high school football player. There's so much media attention on offers and scholarships and star ratings. And then there's these great high school football players, and we stop valuing those. And I think one of the reasons we're here is we have a lot of those kids, who you throw him the ball, he catches it. If you run his way, he tackles you. He doesn't run a 4.3 40. He's not 6'4". But anyone would tell you he's probably going to be an all-state player on both sides of the ball at 5'10", 180 pounds. And he's just a special kid to watch. You get those kids, you hold on to them tight.
I'm glad you said that, Coach, because I spoke earlier with Justin Counts at Madison, and he's got his first Division I signee in 12 years there at Madison, and Dominic Nice, who's going to Coastal Carolina. But it shows you can get it done with a bunch of blue-collar high school football kids that might go Division II, Division III, and like they are with Oscar Smith, and we'll get to your matchup here in a moment with Maury. You're playing a team that's full of blue-chip recruits, next-level talent, but that's got to be a motivational factor, a motivating point for your kids that, all right, this might be, for many of them, their last football game. If it's not a Dudley or a Capistrant or a Rosser or whoever it might be, Carmichael, for many of them, and it can also be true to your opponents you play, this is it. This is the last hurrah. So you've kind of treated your journey with a couple of those early blemishes like do or die in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not sure what I'm going to say pregame this week, because the last few weeks I've told them, hey, let's just play one more week. Let's just have one more week together. We like each other. We have fun. We enjoy what we're doing, and this could be it for a lot of us, and you just never know when that last game is. And so let's just do this one more week. And that's what we said Saturday, and it came true. And now I don't get to say that, because one way or another, this is it. And so, it kind of raises the bar for a lot of these kids. But like you said, that's what the pleasure of coaching is, coaching those kids. I mean, there's nothing against the superstar out there. Phenomenal. They're great kids too. But,
Sure.
But it's that piece of it, I think, that's most fulfilling.
Yeah, you get the maximum out of them. We're talking with Mike Burnett as Falcons will be in action coming up 11:30 a.m. kickoff on the NFHS network. They'll be taking on undefeated Maury for the Class 5 state championship. And, Coach, I want to go to our good friend Andy Hayes. I'll be calling the game with on the NFHS network coming up on Saturday. At Game Day Media Day, you brought up about one of the areas that you were unsure about going into the season was the offensive line. How has that group gelled and developed? And I know you've played some young kids up front, and that'll be a key matchup for you against that Maury defensive front on Saturday.
Yeah, it's hard to believe they're here, I mean, we've got two kids who never played offensive line before up there. We've got a couple kids who played some JV, in the past. And it's just, it's hard. We don't have a lot of big bodies in our building. And so we kind of had to patchwork this group together. And they're a funny group. I think, the best part about them is, they really didn't have high expectations. And so they kind of play with house money. They're a little reckless. They're not scared. They're not intimidated. They're going to have to block kids who are going to Clemson and South Carolina. And they don't seem to care. And that's, I think, their beauty. And that's why they really play well together. They're outmatched at times, but it's high school football, and that's what makes it fun.
With the youth in the trenches and also with some of the injuries, how have you had to reinvent yourself, you and your coaching staff throughout this season? Because I'm sure there's some things you've gone like, gosh, we got to do this, this, and this. And I've never done this before, even at my time at Tuskegee or Bra Run. How have you kind of adapted with all of it?
Yeah, it's funny because somebody asked me, how do you do it with different teams and over a long period of time? And it's just, I honestly believe it's just a little bit of humility in the sense that, like, you got to work with what we've got and not think I have the answers. I don't have any answers. I can tell you that. We just try to keep figuring it out. And with this group, you try to figure out what fits, like what can we do? And, a kid like Brady makes those things a lot easier for us because it makes us a lot of things we can do, a lot of options, but we tend to look a little different week to week. And I think that's actually probably our greatest strength.
Yeah, not a bad one. Now, you faced some good rushing attacks and contained them, like Riverbend with JoJo Thomas, certainly Massaponax for years under Eric Ludd, now Shane Ludd, known for their triple option. And then you saw LC Bird, who it's like Phoebus. They're like running back you. They run the ball with whoever's back there. And you got to measure revenge with Briarwoods winning in that state semifinals last week after the school lost. You weren't there. Charlie Pierce was when they lost in the 2013 final at UVA. But now you take on a Maury team that is just an air attack, Coach. I mean, their quarterback, Torrey Newkirk, has thrown for – it's incredible the numbers he's passed for this season, almost 4,000 yards, 3,400 yards and 45 touchdowns. How do you adjust to what you're going to see in terms of the speed, athleticism in this matchup? And I'm sure you probably hit up on the phone your good buddy Mickey Thompson, who's played him a couple times at Stonebridge, for maybe some pointers and some tips, right?
We did. We talked. We're pretty good friends. We've been going at it a long time. And yeah, you really – like that was his advice, because you got to get their athletes on the ground. I mean, they're just hard to tackle. They're so good in space. They make you defend the whole field. I think that's the thing, is they have so many weapons. We're pretty good in the back end, and we've been able to, I think that's really helped us stop the run game, is we're pretty good in the box, especially when we come downhill. So we haven't had to play a lot of teams that throw the ball all over the place. It's really, for us, it's just, I think gauging their speed early and seeing how fast they are. For us, it's about positioning and discipline. I think that's how we play defense, is we try to be in the right spot. But then at the end of the day, you still got to get those guys on the ground, and that's going to be a challenge.
For sure, and you've got quite a good defense and some offensive weaponry of your own. How much do you think about, I do sometimes when I'm calling these championship games, that old Giants-Bills Super Bowl where time of possession, not just is it your defense about slowing down an explosive offense, and these Commodores have a lot of the same playmaker similarities that we saw those Bills had with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed and so on and so forth. Is it about your offense being able to control the clock and use that to your advantage and be more methodical? Is that something that's entered the thought process this week as you prepare a game plan?
Oh, yeah. I mean, over the years, that's kind of always been my thought process, more so this year, because I think we're pretty thin, like I said. And I think the biggest thing last week was we were able to control the clock against Bird, and we were able to do the same thing against Riverbend. We're not an explosive offense. We're really trying to just stay on the field. Like that's kind of what I tell the kids. Let's get to the sticks. Let's not punt. Let's just keep the offense out there. And I think that gives our best chance to win. And, Problem with Maury is they're pretty darn good defensively too. They got a lot of kids on that side of the ball that are pretty special. So we're hoping we can just keep getting to the sticks and keep their athletes on the sidelines.
Last few questions for you. We'll let you go. I appreciate the time here. When you watch the film with their game with Green Run, 20-14, it was their closest game of the season since their season opener with Wise from Maryland, who's a 6-time state champ from the state of Maryland. What was your takeaway from that? And can you, without getting into too deep the detailed secrets, can you look at some things Green Run tried and possibly apply it to what you guys do?
Yeah, that's definitely, that's always kind of our strategy is like, let's go back and see who was successful. Their challenges, there's not many teams that are that successful against them. And so you got to really handpick, but Green Run's a really good football team too. And so it's sometimes hard to translate. You're trying to figure out, well, can we do that? But yeah, I mean, we do think there's some things for us. It's really got to be about perfect execution. I mean, we really have to execute at a really high level and throughout the game. We can't turn the ball. I mean, you can't make mistakes against them. And we feel like if we can do that, there's enough there and we've got enough firepower that we can, move the football. And that's going to be the key. If we can't, it could be a tough day.
For sure. Now, I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but I will present it to you here because it has been reported locally this week in Tidewater, not by us at VirginiaPreps.com, but one of the media outlets that Doreen McCain, the coach of Maury, has decided to hold out his 4-star defensive end, Ari Watford, who's going to Clemson. He does have an ankle injury he sustained against Green Run. Your thoughts in terms of, again, not giving away a secret, does that alter your game plan at all, A? And B, if you were in his shoes, and you've been in his shoes before as a coach in a state championship game, Tuscarora, Broad Run, Briarwoods, and this could apply to if you had a guy like a Dudley, a Carmichael, how difficult is that decision in terms of the kid's overall future, college pro potential, and keeping him fresh, keeping him healthy, and a state championship, him wanting to play? Take me through the kind of the coach's thought process of that whole situation, if you can.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever about winning a state championship. I know that's kind of what people do, but it's not really what I do. I coach football, and this is a football game. And if they can play and they want to play, that's really what it's about. I don't really believe you're saving yourself for your future or anything like that. If you're not well, you're playing. If you're not 100%, you shouldn't be playing. I don't want to put kids in harm's way. I saw he went down with a pretty tough injury, and that's unfortunate because I know how that feels. To lose players, and especially at this late in the season. So we don't. For us, it's like our kids are banged up, and the ones who can play are going to play. They're kids. My son's played for me, and I treat my players like I would my son. And if I'm never going to put him in harm's way. He's the joy of my life. And so these kids are someone's joy of their life. And so that's the most important thing rather than football. And so, we'll play the 11 that are out there. Trust me, they got some kids who are coming in and fill their shoes that are they're pretty good football players too. So
they do. And does it alter much of what you try to do game plan wise?
A little bit with him. I mean, he's a game changer, obviously. I mean, we kind of assumed he wasn't going to play based on the injury, but if he's there, I mean, LC Bird had a 6'4", 240-pound defensive end, with SEC offers, so it got us a little ready because you can't go that way all the time. But if he's there, we'll adjust. But again, we got to be who we are.
Sure. And that Chris Whitehead kid you're talking about for Bird is mighty special as well. Lastly, Coach, and we thank you for doing this. Tell me about just representing your school, Briarwoods, the whole area, Ashburn and Northern Virginia, taking on a 7-5-7 team in a state championship game and just the opportunity in front of you. You're probably not given much of a chance by the outside public, but I'm sure you don't mind that and you relish this underdog opportunity, don't you?
Yeah, it takes a lot of the pressure away. Like I said, our kids are loose. They'll play. They are who they are. I mean, we don't. Like I said, we don't really predict outcomes or we just, all we can do is control what's in our little world. And so I think it's awesome. I think you live for these moments. I've been really blessed to have, and good coaches and players and have a lot of these opportunities. And, I'm just enjoying it the most we can.
And he's doing another great job. Mike Burnett, head football coach of the Briarwoods Falcons, Region 5D champions at 10-3 overall, taking on the undefeated reigning Class 5 state champion Maury Commodores, the Region 5B champs. Coming up 11:30 a.m. Eastern is the kickoff from James Madison University in Harrisonburg, and we'll have the call for you on the NFHS network. Always a pleasure. Thank you so much, my pal, and I will see you on Saturday.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
We'll take a timeout. We've got more to come here on the Hash with Hatfield. Stay tuned. You're watching on CoVA Sports TV.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger, fries, drink, and a sundae. No time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. Right now at DQ. Happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there. Because here, you are more. One Life Fitness.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Getting down with Ed's Jam here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Woodrow Wagner says good morning. Also enjoyed the interview with Mike Burnett. Enjoyed the interview with Mike Burnett, head football coach of the Briarwoods Falcons. We got Gary Hess coming up in just a little bit. He is the voice of high school football in the city of Richmond, as he and his partner Gary Criswell will be calling a state championship game for I don't know how many years in a row. This is about 10, 12, 15, I think, on the 804 in the 804 on radio. Ed, your reaction to what Coach Burnett had to say? I posed the question to him about Ari Wofford, who will not be playing today. If he was in a similar circumstance as Coach McCain, what'd you heard from the head ball coach of the Falcons of Briarwoods up there in Ashburn?
He said a lot of stuff. Of course, talking about his team, he said a lot. In terms of a player somewhat injured, it's pretty much the mantra of most coaches. If he's hurt, we're not going to play him. What he wants to know is the quarterback for Briarwood that good?
He's pretty darn good. He plays linebacker, too. You don't see too many of those guys. Although we talked about that with Andy Lynn a couple weeks ago. And we're seeing more and more of these kids. If you're just that good, you know it is like in basketball. Someone's that good, it's hard to take them off the floor for anything. Lake Taylor's done it where a guy's playing 6 positions when you include special teams. And if you've got a talent that good and a luxury, why not use it, right?
Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, didn't Coach mention that he's one of 2 kids on that squad that has played every down, offense and defense?
Lucas Rosser and Colin Capistrand. They don't come off the field.
And I would think as a football coach, I'll just take an example, and I know you have to have your best kids on the field. Mm-hmm. My quarterback is going to play quarterback, period. And I know I've been challenged. Other people say, okay, well, what if he's your best tackler? He really knows how to hit. And my answer again was, he's my quarterback. Maybe a state playoff game or something like that. We used him a little bit in practice. I might put him out there, but I just feel I can't. He's got to play quarterback. That's where he is. Now, for him to be a linebacker, you are right. That's a heck of a combination, because most quarterbacks who play defense are usually a cornerback or a safety. They're further away from the action. Maybe the potential for injury is less, but you got to do what you got to do. And if those coaches, that's their philosophy to play him, they're going to play him. I would think I would try to play as many kids as I can in the 3 units: offense, defense, special teams, and maybe one or 2 linemen to play both sides. But I don't want to wear them out. But going back to what Coach had mentioned in there is, if he's injured, my philosophy always was I'd go to the trainer. Can he play? And if their answer is yes, Okay, is he limited? What would he be limited as? And I'm going to go by what they say. If they say, Coach, I wouldn't play him, then I'm not going to play him. I mean, even though that's still my choice, I'm not going to play him because you don't want to have a chance of re-injury situation. And I've had situations where a kid was slightly hurt and I wasn't going to play him. And the parent told me, Coach, I understand you're not going to play my son. No, his ankle or his knees bother him a little bit. I'm going to hold. Coach, he can play. He can tolerate it. And I'm like, wow, the parent wants the kid to play hurt, and the coach is the one saying no. That's a kind of a surprise. But and he made one other comment that really caught my attention when he said when they were 2-2 and he was afraid about losing a game and then possibly losing the locker room because kids in high school, they do need the confidence. And when you are winning, it's easier to get your messages over, have good enthusiastic practices because you're winning. They see an end to what they're doing, that, okay, we're working hard. Things are going good. We're winning. We'll keep doing it. When you're losing, and I've always said this about high school kids more than college and pro, when you're losing, you're going to have to pull a rabbit out of your hat to keep them motivated and to do more things with them because they get joked in school by fellow classmates and whatever. People get on them that they're losing. And again, you could play great teams and lose and play well against them. It doesn't matter. You're losing. That's why I say it's very imperative you know how to schedule your whatever sport you're playing in high school. You better be able to schedule where you got the potential of some good wins, because if not, you're going to lose your kids. And it's tough to practice from the middle of the year on when you're with a squad that is really struggling. And I mean, I've had a couple years early in my career, I remember, where we were struggling. We had a young team, we were struggling, and I'm using all kind of tricks I can to keep their mental going, cutting practice down, just doing things to keep motivated. And it was a struggle because the only thing that works is wins.
Yeah, it can be difficult, but today we've got some unbeaten teams trying to finish off the deal in Class 6. Oscar Smith in Madison, Maury in Class 5, Phoebus in Class 4. You've got Liberty Christian and Kettle Run, both unblemished in Class 2, like the Class 6 title game. Graham's undefeated in Class 2. The only game without an undefeated team, Ed, is in Class 1, where you have Essex and Grayson County. Essex has the 1 blemish, and Grayson County has the 3 losses on the season. We're going to take a time out and come back with Gary Hess. I see he was ready to roll with us, and he just disappeared, but we'll get him right back here. The voice of high school football in Richmond alongside Gary Criswell. You can check out their action on 910 The Fan. High school football there. He'll tell you how you can get it on the Odyssey app. We were actually listening in the car on our way to Lansdowne John Marshall the night when he had on Stu Brown, longtime Varina football coach. We'll have some fun with Gary about that. And you can hear him and Coach Chris if you're a Phoebus and Varina fan and you want to listen to the game on radio. It's right there at your fingertips on the radio dial in the 804. Might be a little difficult to pick up the 757, but you can hear it on the Odyssey app if you have a phone device. And, of course, you can watch all these championship games that will be played today exclusively on the NFHS network with a small fee for subscription. It's well worth it, Ed. It's money well spent to check out the games live. And also you can archive and go back and watch it. And you, like the coach that you are, you enjoy going back and watch some of that action through the film because it's right there at your fingertips. So we'll come back with Gary after we hear a couple of words from sponsors that make it possible for us. Stay tuned. You're watching CoVA Sports TV.
Get ready for a season of thrills and excitement. Virginia Beach United invites you to experience the adrenaline of USL League 2 Pro Soccer. Tickets are only $10 for adults, $7 for kids, and children 5 and under are free. It's the perfect family outing filled with fun and entertainment. Secure your seats now for a season of unforgettable soccer moments with Virginia Beach United. Don't miss out.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there, because here you are more. One Life Fitness.
What's up at DQ? Oh, just the best deal ever! The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Bacon cheeseburger for a limited time, plus fries, drink, and a sundae. Yeah, this is not the time to be modest. It's all full size for just $7. And there's bacon on that burger. The $7 bacon cheeseburger meal deal. Now for a limited time on the $7 meal deal lineup. Only at DQ. Happy tastes good.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and the evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel, wherever you may be tuning in. We thank you for doing so. We now have a special guest with us. He is the voice of high school football in the Richmond area. He is the veteran voice on 910 The Fan. You can check it out on the Odyssey app in Richmond. He and Gary Criswell will bring in the call for you today of Phoebus and Varina on radio. We say hello to our pal, Gary Hess. Gary, good to be with you at State Championship Saturday. Not too many days on the calendar as good as this one, huh?
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you okay. You're not hearing us at all?
I'm hearing you. The volume's just low. I got to play with my phone for a second.
You're good. Ed's used to this because you should know that when we first started doing this podcast, it took Ed about 45 minutes to get his laptop camera to work. So we almost had to delay the show for a week and a half because
Gary, first of all, Gary, it's good to see you, but let me just give you some great advice. Just turn the button to the right so it goes up higher. That's what they told me.
You're a funny man.
That's what they told me. So, but it's good to see you, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it is good to see you too, Coach. And I can hear you guys much better now. So it's great to be with you, and it's always exciting when it's State Championship Saturday.
Yeah, we want to get to that in a moment here, but Ed and I were driving in his limousine the other night to the Lansdowne John Marshall game. He behind the wheel, of course, for the limousine, and we happened to pop you on your high school football show. You had Stu Brown. Ed was enjoying hearing every minute of Stu, the former Varina Blue Devils football coach, who's cut from the same cloth as him.
More of Stu Brown is a good thing for us. Stu is our number one. He's my fill-in when Coach Chris misses games, and he's entertaining, but his analysis is great, much like Coach Ed. And we had a great time. We were like, because we had Marcus on a couple of times, and we wanted to, since we were doing the Varina game, we're like, who can we get on to talk? Like Stu Brown, of course. And so, that was a lot of fun. And Stu's one of our favorites for sure.
I've never met him, Gary, but that's a dude I want to meet, sit down, maybe have a drink with him and talk some stuff because he got me listening. I was asking about it. I said, you ever met the dude? I said, he sounds like one of my type of guys to really sit down and talk sports with, coaching especially. We go on forever.
Yeah, he is. He's one of those guys for sure, and he is fun to talk to. And here's a little known fact about Coach Brown. He has also been a highly successful softball coach once upon a time at Deep Run, and I believe he's going to split time with helping out a little bit at Varina with football and coaching softball at Glen Allen.
You know, what's funny to hear that is, and not to boast myself, but what people don't know about me is my tennis coaching record. Something like 55-5, and went to the states 3 years in a row coaching tennis, and even I forget all that.
But Gary, what he's not telling you is that he stopped coaching because he had a couple too many McEnroe moments. That's why.
Well, you cannot be serious.
Right. Well, I stopped coaching because the Spanish exchange student was getting ready to go back to his country. So I said, that's it. I'm done coaching because that kid can play.
That's right. Hey, Coach, remember rule number one of being a good coach, get good players.
You got to have, and let them play. You got to have players. I've always said that. Any of the levels, you've got to have players. You know, when I was fortunate enough to win the 500 game a couple of years ago, one of the reporters all come at me about what do you attribute this to? I said, well, number one, you got to be around. You got to be old. You got to be around a while. And I said, well, I've had some players that understood what I wanted and get it done, because I ain't scored a point or grabbed a rebound ever.
100%.
No doubt about it. Hey, Gary, let's get into Varina Phoebus. And I think of the 6 championship games, this could be the most physical, the tightest to the very wire. Phoebus has played some doozies. Varina's been there before on the big stage as well, and they have a tough rivalry game every year with Highland Springs. I made the point to Ed of the night that, and I think I said it on your show as well, that I feel like people – If the result had been different in their first game of the year with Indian River, that game they lost in double overtime, more people outside the 804 who understand how good they are would give them a greater chance to win this game, 757 folks, and statewide. And secondly, if Phoebus wasn't on this long winning streak of 48 in a row, which who knows when it's going to end, they're coming up on their own record of 52 straight that they share with Riverheads for the most in state history. If they had lost that game, say, to Warwick, I think it also would swing the pendulum. More people would be giving Varina a chance. Is that a fair way to break this down and look at it?
I think it is absolutely a fair way to look at it, but I think when you do a deep dive, and I know you have and I have, this is a highly competitive game. I'm not saying Phoebus is going to lose. I'm not making those kind of grand predictions, but I am convinced that Varina can hang. Varina is that good. When you go back to that double overtime loss to Indian River, a couple of key guys on that Varina roster were missing in that game, were banged up, and I know they and Coach Lewis, when he looks back, like that game never should have gone to overtime and things like that. So, but that's part of the story of this team. And you guys know that, Coach Ed, I know you know this as well. Sometimes, that double overtime loss to open the season is part of writing the story that ends you up on December 14th in Lynchburg playing for a state championship. So I don't think you go back and change anything. But I do agree with you. I think the fact that Phoebus is on a 48-game win streak, and that is an amazing feat, especially when you consider that the same program did it in the early 2000s, 4 in a row, 08 to 11, I believe it was. You got to tip your hat to that program and the late, great Billy D, who really got it started. And they've been, one of the handful of gold standard programs in the entire state since the turn of the century.
John Huffman wants to know, did Varina play exceptionally well against Tuscarora? Did Tuscarora have a bad game? Both Phoebus and Varina, Gary, coming into a state championship game off a shutout. I can't remember that ever happening where two teams are coming off a state semifinal shutout.
Here's the thing I'll tell you about Tuscarora. Tuscarora made some adjustments, and their defense kind of stymied Varina a little bit in the second half after Varina had jumped out ahead with 3 touchdowns. But Tuscarora's offense was overmatched in that game. Varina finished, here's the numbers. They had 6, they got more takeaways, the Varina defense did, than first downs allowed. How about that? Tuscarora had 5 first downs and Varina had 6 takeaways, and Tuscarora only had 112 yards of offense. So that the bottom line is that Varina's defense was the unit that really dominated that game. The offense gave them a 3-touchdown lead, mid-second quarter, and it was never threatened after that.
So, Ed, what Gary's telling you is what Varina's defense did, what Phoebus's defense has done all year long, as they outgained Sherando 401-95 last week. This could be the first team that scores wins this type of game if both defenses play at their elite level.
Well, that would be my concern in asking Gary. We know down here in 757 land, Phoebus, when you say Phoebus, 2 things: win, defense. Varina, I think, not seen them play a whole lot of really good athletes, especially your hands people, and they can score points. But Gary, tell me, is their defense, what you just said, what they did in the semi, is that something that can happen in any particular game, and they've shown it?
Yeah, they've carried. I mean, the numbers aren't as just shocking as Phoebus's numbers, with 7 shutouts and allowing 4 points a game like Phoebus has done. Varina, though, has played a tougher schedule than Phoebus has, and Varina's defense has been legit all year long. And the key to that, Coach, is playmakers at all 3 levels. You start with the 2 defensive tackles, Jay-Sean Richardson, known as Bull, and Jervell Barksdale. Both have put up huge numbers. The linebackers can all make plays and have all made plays. And then in the secondary, You sprinkle in Damari Carter, who's their star receiver. Miles Anderson has been a shutdown corner all year long, had 2 interceptions last week against Sharando. And, so they have guys. And, of course, Caleb White's a quarterback, plays some at free safety too. So they have guys that will make plays at every level. And when you have playmakers at every level, you can pretty much stay in any ball game you play.
So true. Ed?
What about Gary and I'm wanting to always say when it comes down to championship games and offenses and defenses pretty close, then okay, talk to me about special teams. Where does Varina stand maybe in their special team unit?
How about 5 block punts this year? Their special teams unit excels. Block punts, the return game is great. The one thing I would say about Varina is the place kicking game is a question mark. You're not going to see a whole lot of field goal attempts unless it's basically the length of an extra point. And even you never know from week to week who the field goal, the extra point kicker is going to be. They have basically a comp. Whoever makes the most kicks during the week gets to kick. I've seen 4 different players kick extra points this year for Varina. That could be a question mark. But the other parts of special teams, the return game, kick coverage, block punts, all of that is stellar for the Blue Devils.
Yeah, we saw a missed extra point haunts Pocosin last week in the Class 2 state semifinals against Strasburg. He is Gary Hess, part of the dynamic duo with Gary Criswell. He and Coach Chris give you high school football every week in the Richmond area. They can check out those games. By the way, where can they find them on the Odyssey app? How can they get the games today?
Today will be on, if you're in the Richmond area, terrestrial radio, 1140, 50,000-watt AM signal, by the way, WRVA. And after dark, you can hear it pretty much anywhere in the eastern half of the country. And most of that game will be played in the dark with a 5 o'clock kick. But 1140 AM, the Odyssey app, just look for WRVA or newsradiowrva.com. There's a link on there to hear it online as well. So we're so excited. Heading out here in about an hour and a half. We're going to try to get down there about 2 o'clock to maybe catch the end of LCA and then get ready for 4:30 airtime today. And I'm just listen. The more I dig into Phoebus, the more I'm impressed with what Jeremy Blunt has done. But I have really been impressed with this Varina team, and I think you're right. You said it earlier, Matt. I think it's as I look at the 6 games today, I think it's the matchup that I'm most excited about. I'm glad we're calling it.
Yeah, it should be. And as Woody points out, Phoebus has a good kicking game with Ferris Knight. Although they missed a couple of kicks in their game with Warwick that got close late, they pulled it out. I mean, Gary, last year's championship game for Phoebus, I'm sure you saw the highlight that was on the NFHS network where they had the 86-yard touchdown pass by a then freshman quarterback, Maricus Banks, to Keontae Graham. We're talking about the defense and the special teams, and I think you and Ed make great points here that this could be a low-scoring physical battle at the end. But the thing that keeps coming back to me is if it's 14-7 or 13-7 or tied or whatever the score is, both of these 2 young quarterbacks that are 10th graders, Maricus Banks, Caleb Weiss, we're going to be talking about them for years to come. And I think that those players around them feel like they can go win the game if they're tied or trailing at the end, don't you?
I do. And, it's funny because we talked about the defenses, and Phoebus and Varina both have defenses that are legit. But I'm not necessarily expecting a 7-6 game, because I think, both offenses have playmakers too. And sometimes the playmakers make plays. And, Maricus Banks, having watched some film on him, he's got that. And both of these guys, Caleb White and Banks, have talent. They have skill, obviously, but they've got that moxie too, that it factor that just allows them to make plays. And the thing about White is he can do it in both ways, where he's dual threat. He has over 1,000 yards rushing this year and can throw the ball. The key for Varina in the playoffs has been the emergence of Damari Carter. Caught 3 touchdown passes against Dinwiddie. He was banged up for a big part of the regular season, but he is back, and they have really just kind of taken all the reins off him. He had a first down with a fake punt against Dinwiddie. He had an interception against Dinwiddie, subbing in on defense. So the emergence of 6 has really been a big plus for Varina. And with those playmakers on both sides of the ball, the offenses are going to have their say today as well.
Yeah, they will. One of our comments there, Ed, your thought too. Varina's played a tougher schedule than Phoebus, which is a weird thing to think of, Ed. But I feel like the old days, the Peninsula District, those Hampton battles, Bethel, Warwick, and even though Phoebus played Holland Springs game 1, it does feel like Varina's played a little bit of a tougher schedule. As a coach, Ed, do you feel like there's a big deal when you get to the championship game, who you play, who you haven't played, or is that thrown out the window?
No, I think you got to look at it. But I don't think you get to the state title game necessarily with a weak schedule. You're going to get bumped somewhere. So they're there. And the thing about Phoebus, they play better in games of greater importance against teams that are really good. It's something about their, they might, sleepwalk through a game against Gloucester, and you look at a score and say, dang, what happened here?
Right.
When they play a power team, all of a sudden, boom, they wake up. And sometimes as a coach, I go nuts over that because that's called playing to the level of your competition. And okay, well, why not have that? Well, because then when we play the lower level teams, I got to, throw things around the locker room to get kids motivated to play because they figure they're going to win no matter what. Gary, I throw this at you. You've done your homework on these teams. I'll give you the scenarios. Varina wins if what, and then flip it after that. Phoebus wins if what?
I think that if Varina had a couple of turnovers against Tuscarora last week in a game where they were overmatched, if Varina puts the ball on the ground a couple times today, Phoebus is going to win. I also think I think it's going to be important for Varina to play from ahead. I think if Varina can go down and score in the first quarter and take the lead in this game and create some doubt, the other thing Varina's got to do is they have to hit Mauricus Banks. If they can hit him, get him uncomfortable, and let those two defensive tackles clog up the running game, then Varina's going to be in a great position to win. If Phoebus can shut down Damari Carter and keep Whites in the pocket, I like Phoebus' chances to win. So there answers your questions, a couple of things there.
Yeah, and Ed will
Gary,
Yep.
I'm sorry. One more. My last thing would be, Gary, any eyes on the other state games? Any opinions? I know you're really concentrated on obviously what you got to broadcast because that's how you make those $1 million bucks. But have you looked at anybody else or overly impressed by anybody else?
I am. It's funny because as I look at the other games, I think Oscar Smith, I think Maury, I think LCA, I think Graham, and I think Essex are all significant favorites. And we don't, I know there are places out there where you can find them. I don't look at point spreads in high school games, but I would think those five. Would you agree with that, Matt, that those five are clear favorites today?
Well, to follow that point, Gary, it's a great one. That's this. We, Ed and I do our predictions battle on VirginiaPreps.com, and for years and years and years, he's beaten me in the playoffs. I wiped the floor with him in the regular season. This year, I've got the leg up after last week's 11-1. He was 8-4, but we had the same 6 winners in the state championship. We've been doing this for a dozen years, as I know you and Gary have been calling. Gary Criswell have been calling games for more than a decade. I think it's the first time we agree on all 6 winners today.
And that doesn't surprise me that you guys, and I saw Matt where you picked a 1-point game with Phoebus and Varina, and so I just think the other 5 are clear favorites. And to answer your question, Coach Ed, we called the Maury Highland Springs game earlier this year, and I just it was funny because I've laughed with Matt because we were in the same press box and never ever saw each other that night. And we were texting during the game, but I never actually saw him. But the thing is, Maury I can't get over how good that Maury team is. And what really surprised me is I went back, took my play-by-play chart with Maury and went back and looked at the play-by-play chart from the 2022 state championship game where Highland Springs beat Maury. It was maybe 8-9 guys that started in that game as sophomores or freshmen were still playing for Maury. And of course they added, I know the transfer thing is alive and well, and Ari Watford had been added and other guys, but like Watford had been added, but the other 3 defensive linemen in that game all started in 2022. And it's just, they're just playmakers everywhere. Maury is the team that has really I'm just amazed at how good they are and how good Green Run must be to have given them a game last week.
Yeah. Well, that's
Ed, one more thing about what you were saying. Us broadcasters, we'll grab cliches and look for stating the obvious any chance we get. And so you were talking about Phoebus's defense. They haven't given up a point in the playoffs yet. 3 shutouts in a row. And I'm no expert, But if the other team doesn't score, your chances to win are pretty darn good. Just saying.
Yeah, and again, that's an amazing fact because you're at the highest level of your play. And you figure somebody's going to stumble in the end zone no matter how good you are, because you made a comment a few minutes ago. All teams have playmakers, and the playmaker is going to have it. A lot of times people say, well, you talked about these teams being great defensive teams, and the score was 33-28. I said, because they also have playmakers and get in the end zone. It doesn't have to be a 7-6 score, as you said. But I did want to throw one comment at you, Gary. When you said you're in a press box with Matt and didn't see him all night, consider yourself lucky. That's a
yes. He texted me some great information and I didn't have to look at him. So maybe you're saying that was a win. I didn't say that, Matt. He did.
I'm saying it.
I know the dude. I'm saying it.
Yeah. Ed tries to keep me out of the hospitality room at VCU. He tries to keep me out of a lot of different places, but he hasn't been totally successful, just partially successful. So
listen, I think he likes hanging out with you more than he wants to admit. That's probably the truth. So.
The reason is I've got to make sure, because there's so many people out after his hide. I got to make sure I got to play the heavy on that. And when we get into the, I'm a little bit bigger than him, but when we talk hospitality room, he will push a mother down to go into the hospitality room for food. Free food. If it's free, it's Matt.
Yeah.
If it's free, it's me. That's Coach Chris says that all the time too. So apparently we both have partners that will like that. And hey, listen, I don't mind free either. Let's be honest. So free is good.
It is.
Well, I whisper that two of my favorite, name brands are Clarence and Sally. So those are the ones I will go to. So free is extra.
Yes, 100%.
And guess what, folks? All you watch on CoVA Sports TV, you didn't have to pay a dime to get these jokes from Coach Young. Well, Gary, hey, enjoy the game today. Phoebus Varina should be a fun one. Say hello to my pal, Danny Lewis, who's doing the work for us at VirginiaPreps.com. And again, get that Odyssey app on your phone. If you follow Gary on Twitter, or X as they call it now, Hess RVA, you'll have the links up and stuff, correct?
Yeah, link's already up. So yeah, and so yeah, we're very excited about the game today, and we'll see what happens. Last time we were there, it worked out well for Varina. Last time we were in Lynchburg, so
it did. That was back in 2021, was it?
2021. Coach Chris and I have been blessed. We have had an 804 team play for a state championship. Now, we didn't broadcast the spring COVID year, but we could have done a game that. We would have had a team because Highland Springs lost to Stonebridge that year. But every year, I believe since 2011 or 2010, we've had an 804 team play for the state championship. So we've been blessed, and we're excited to be a part of it.
Heck of a run. Go enjoy the game today at Liberty. Phoebus, Varina, 5 o'clock kick after the Liberty Christian and Kettle Run undefeated showdown finishes up. And we'll talk again soon, my friend. Have a happy holiday, and we'll talk to you down the road.
Merry Christmas, boys. Be well.
You got it. Jerry Hess, our guest here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We'll come back with more. We've got Factor, Fiction, NFL picks all coming your way. It's CoVA Sports TV. Stay tuned.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients, and we're more than a hospital.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
What makes a life a good one? Is it our adventures? Or the friends we find along the way? Is it the challenges we conquer together? Maybe it's the people's lives we touch every single day. So, what makes a life a good one? You'll have to figure that one out for yourself.
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the Plex, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are two guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom. Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And back with us here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, we have a special guest ready to square off with Edward Vincent Young in Fact or Fiction. And there's none other than Michael Samuel Hatfield, proud JMU alum, class of 1977, back in your old stomping grounds. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. The hat, the original hat is here. Always good to see you, but I got to get in competitive mode because I hope you lose today.
I understand, Coach.
Nothing personal. It's
I
just,
understand.
it makes it easier when I can beat somebody that already knows the answers.
Oh, please.
He's tried, but we have not allowed him to get the answers. So we will play Fact or Fiction. For those that are familiar with this game, you can go back to our archived episodes of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Find last year's state championship edition, find Father's Day edition, and it was my pops, Mr. Michael Hatfield, to my left or your right on the screen, prevailing over Coach Ed Young. And we have 5 questions today. Here's how it works. Each question is worth 1 point, and then we have the bonus 2-point question. And he has not seen these questions, nor have you seen the answers, correct?
Neither.
Honest to God, put your hand up. We got a Bible over there here in our
where's
studio.
The Bible at?
Where's the Bible? He will swear on the Bible. Why are you shaking your head over there, Ed?
Because I've already called the commissioner. It's under protest. Why would you say, I gave my dad 2 the answers? Dad, did I give you the answers? No, son, I didn't got know it. Come on now. Like I said, he'd be whooping your butt like he did when you were younger because you needed it if you're not going to help him look good. So
you can call Adam Silver, Roger Goodell, Gary Bettman, or Rob Manford, who's too busy trying to get a golden at-bat rule in place. And they will tell you what I just told you. He has not been given the answer. So since you've won the last 2 times, would you like to go first, or would you want to be the gentleman that you are and let Ed go first?
Let Ed go first.
Look at that. What a gentleman he is. He's going to let you go first for the first question. So here we go, Ed. Are you ready to play Fact or Fiction?
Let's do it.
Here we go. Fact or Fiction, Edward Young. The Dodgers have never won the World Series in back-to-back years. Is that a fact or is that fiction? Don't look it up.
Dodgers, let me see, 70, 57, and then there was 62, and then there. I'm going to say that's fiction.
He's going to say it's fiction, Mr. Michael Hatfield. Ed Young does not believe this is correct. Have the Los Angeles Dodgers never won the World Series in back-to-back years, or do you?
You're not counting the Brooklyn years, are you?
It's the Dodgers. It counts as Brooklyn or Los Angeles.
Okay. I'm going to have to say it's a fact.
He's going to say it's a fact. Well, I'm here to tell you the World Championships are this year in 2024, the COVID year of 2020, 1988, 1981, 1965, 1963, 1959, 1955. You're correct. It's a fact. Ed Young, you're already down 1-0. 1-0. Mike Hatfield's in the league, and he gets to go for question number 2 first. Good job by you. Question number 2. But you don't try to blow the lead like the Cavaliers did last night against the Wizards. We watched that. That was very dicey. Very dicey. Trust me. We watched that with great intent last night as
It wasn't pretty, Ed.
It wasn't pretty.
I can imagine.
It wasn't pretty. Here's question number 2. Dad, you go first. Mike Hatfield. Luka Doncic of the Dallas Mavericks currently leads the NBA in steals per game. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
I'll have to say that's fiction.
All right, Ed. Mike Hatfield says it's not true. Do you think it is true? Luka Doncic leads the NBA in steals per game. Is that a fact or do you agree?
It is so crazy. I'm going to say fact because he doesn't play defense. So when other guys deflect the ball, he's there to grab it. So that's a steal. So I'm going to say it's a fact.
Really good reasoning, but you're not going to change your pick, are you?
No, I'm not.
Well, it's good reasoning because Luka Doncic averages over 2 steals per game, and he's actually Second in the NBA, I almost said NFL, in steals per game behind Dyson Daniels of the Atlanta Hawks. We'll get the Hawks play-by-play boys, Bob Rathman, on the show soon. So score another one for DJ Hatt, and Ed misses again, and he's down 2-love in this match. He talked about tennis. You know, he used to play tennis. Right?
Tennis Wesleyan,
Yeah, he played tennis at Virginia Wesleyan. So he's beaten the former tennis players, beating the former tennis coach. But Coach Young gets to go first for question number 3. And Ed, you're not out of the game just yet. You have all 6 people of our 6 million watching rooting for you. All 6. 6 are rooting for you. So you get to go for question number 3 first. Ed Young, every team in the NBA attempts at least 30 3-point shots per game. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Fiction.
Ed says it's fiction. Mike Hatfield, every team in the NBA attempts at least 30 3-point shots per game. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
We're talking the whole team, right?
The entire team, and there are, 30 of them in the league?
Yeah.
You going to agree with Coach Young that it is fiction, or do you think it is a fact?
After last night's game, I'm going to say fact.
After last night's game, he thinks it's a fact, and believe it or not, every team in the league, including the one that takes the fewest, which I believe at last check was the Denver Nuggets at 30.1 per game, shoots 33s a game. So 3-0. DJ Hatt is wiping the floors with Ed Young, who is over in this game. And question number 4, he's not been given the answers. I swear on a second Bible.
Where's the Bible?
This is incredible. Where's the Bible? Question number 4, you get to go first. But we're going to pro football.
Okay.
You've almost sewn up the victory. But listen, he still can beat you because if he gets the next 2 in the bonus, you lose.
Okay.
So you're not in the victory column just yet. Question number 4 for Mike Hatfield. Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals currently leads the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdowns. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
I'm saying I think it's fiction.
All right. Mike Hatfield says it's fiction. Ed Young, do you think it's a fact that Jamar Chase of the Bengals leads the NFL in catches, yards, and TDs?
Fiction.
So you both say it's fiction.
Yeah.
This was Ed Young's chance to get back in the game because it's actually a fact. He leads the NFL in all 3 receiving categories.
That's what threw me off.
So it is not, even had he gone fact, he would have gained a game on you. But so Mike Hatfield's not pitching a perfect game anymore, but Ed Young is still over this game. But Ed gets to go first for the next question, as now victory has just about been secured unless he can get this one and the bonus. So then he could get a tie, which maybe I'll have to give him this one. You know, Ed got rid of some of his ties. It's not coach anymore. So.
I understand.
Coach Young, the tieless Coach Young. Notre Dame, your favorite school, leads all of college football in block punts this season. We heard Gary Hess talk about block punts with Varina, right? What about your Fighting Irish, Ed? Do they lead all of college football in block punts? Is that a fact or is that fiction?
Even though it's my squad, I would have no clue on this one. I'm going to guess and say fiction.
He's going to say fiction. Mr. Hatfield, do you agree with him that it's fiction, or do you think it's a fact that Notre Dame leads all of college football in blocked punts?
I'm going to have to say fiction.
So you agree with him?
I do.
Which was actually good but bad. It was good because if you went the other way and he got it right, he could get back in the game. So your strategy's working. But I hate to tell you that you're wrong. However, so is he.
It's true.
Because wait, you both said it's fiction, right? I'm sorry.
Yes.
I apologize. You're both correct. It is fiction. I thought you both said fact for a second. You're both correct. So Ed, you get a point. However, so does he. It is fiction. The team that leads the country in block punts is UNLV. If you combine block kicks, field goals, with block punts, I think Notre Dame is tied. So very tricky question there. So that makes the score now 4-1, right?
Correct.
Okay. Bonus question. Who goes first for that? You go first, right? Because if you went second, you could copy him, and we don't want that anyway. But you've already secured victory in this game, so it almost is irrelevant. Bonus factor fiction, Mr. Hatfield. VCU is the only school from the state of Virginia in the top 10 in NCAA men's basketball and scoring defense. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
I'm going to say fact.
He's going to say fact. Coach Young, a chance to make this a more respectable battle if you disagree. VCU is the only school from the state of Virginia in the top 10 in the NCAA men's basketball scoring defense statistics, which means fewest points per game allowed. You said again, what was your answer?
Fact.
He said fact. Do you agree or do you think it's fiction?
I can't agree because that seals my death. So I'm going to go the opposite of him and say,
well, your
fiction.
death is already sealed. Your death is
Yeah.
already sealed. You're down 4-1. So what are you
Well,
talking about?
I thought the bonus is worth 3.
No, it's worth 2. It's not worth 3. Look at you trying to change the rules.
I see.
No,
I
it's
have
never
the rules.
been worth 3 points.
I got no, because the rules are right here. I have the rules.
You got a favorite
And
copy
the
of the
rules
rules?
say
That's not the rules.
when bonus question is given, it'll be worth enough points for the person losing to be able to tie the score.
What is this? Baseball
it's
goal
right
at bat
here.
rules?
It's right here.
That you're holding up.
Okay. So if you want to change rules in the middle of the game, I'm okay, because I've already got it under protest. So it doesn't matter to me. I'm playing with free money.
Okay, so that's nice to know.
Hatfield normally does. The other
your pick is fiction, right?
UVA's up there.
Well, you're right and you're wrong. Fiction is the correct answer. You said fact, right? Yeah. So you're wrong. You don't get your 2 bonus points, but you maintain a 4 to now 3 lead to finish the game. It is fiction. He said UVA, which means you're docked a point anyway, so you weren't going to get the point. Liberty is the other one in the top 10, as VCU is 6th, 58.1 points per game allowed. Liberty is 5th at 57.6 points per game allowed. So while Ed was right, he wasn't completely right, and he loses the game 4-3. Valiant comeback effort. But as a lot of Ed's comebacks generally do, they fall just short of victory. Congratulations.
Maybe
Good job
Father's
by you.
Day, Ed.
Maybe Father's Day. Maybe Father's Day. As you taste defeat yet again.
Again, nothing personal against the Hat, because he's one of the best. But it is under protest. I'll let the committee decide from there and go from there. So I have the rules with me. I have my other documentation.
Resume.
It's all here.
That's his resume. You're right. He's trying to get a job.
That's his resume.
That's your resume. Trying to get a basketball coach.
And I'm going to need it pretty soon to try to find a job. But this is not resume. This is just all the rules for facts and fiction. I keep up with my stuff.
Well, as we let you go in our second to last.
And this is a depiction of younger Hat and when he does his work. This is a depiction of younger Hat.
What is this? Oh, wow.
Is he Goofy or Mickey?
You just have to figure which one he is. I'm not going to, say anything, but you just have to, figure which one it is.
See how mean he is? Unbelievable. Well, as we let you go on our, I think it's penultimate, what you say, second to last segment of the show. Yeah. Any final thoughts? Are you enjoying the lovely scenery here in Harrisonburg? And you're this is rekindling some fond memories of your.
Yeah, how cold it is. It's 20 degrees.
How cold it is, yeah. He's not in the spirit.
I didn't bring no long johns.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, Hat, you got to remember with the Hat, did most of his best work inside the buildings anyways, not outside. So that's why he's not good with the cold.
Whoa. I'm going to leave that
Hopefully
alone.
he's going to be in the press box today.
Yeah, will be. I will be. Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming by the show.
Thanks,
always a
son.
pleasure. We will take a
As
time.
always, Hat.
Good seeing you. I'll see you next year about sooner, Coach.
There you go.
Let's hope it's sooner now. That scares me when I hear it sound like that. Let's hope
not
it's
much
sooner.
this year left.
Yeah, it's true.
And have a great Christmas too, and make sure this knucklehead gets you the right thing.
Oh, he always takes care of me as I take care of him.
There you go. There you go.
Need to, because there are many times I needed to knock him on his butt, but I know you do it.
Thank you, Ed.
There you go. Well, we will come back with one more segment on today's program, which is the NFL Picks segment for week number 15. Is it week 15? Is that right in the league?
15.
League where they play for pay. I think that's coming up next. We've got the selections from the Maestro Bruce Pearl, Virginia Beach Mustangs, who are going to be in action in 21 minutes. I think that's being streamed somewhere on Facebook. We will give you that link if I had it. I don't have it at my fingertips at the moment. And we'll give you Bruce's picks, Ed Young's picks, and here is the regular season tally. Ed, what do you think about the regular season tally as we take a peek at it here as we go to break? Are you worried? Are you frightened? Are you scared?
We're tied up. We still got decent amount of season left, playoffs. So I'm okay with it.
I might pick the brains of the JMU alum that's here still in our studios to help me out, get back in this game, because I am down considerably to you guys in the picks. We'll come back, though, and finish up this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk on State Championship Saturday. You're watching CoVA Sports TV. And now this from a word from our sponsor. What was that? Is that your phone over there talking? You got somebody?
Yeah, my phone's going off and on. I thought I turned it off, but I got messages galore on here.
We've got more coming your way. Stay tuned. It's CoVA Sports TV.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
What is more? Is it more reps, more strength, more stamina? We say it's all of that, but it's greater than just what's in the mirror. It's about improving your mental and physical health. More is a feeling of achievement, fulfillment, confidence. It's looking better, feeling better, being better, and it's our mission to get you there, because here you are more. One Life Fitness.
Hampton Roads has a long-running high school and college sports tradition. It's time to give them the spotlight they deserve. This is 757 Sports Talk.
Usually it's Hatfield. That's why I try to tell everybody, get on Hatfield. He is the legal scribe, the talking head that knows all this, puts the whammies on. We do things different on this podcast. That's why we're rated number 3 in the state.
You got Play-Doh? Get out of here! We got people all over the globe watching with us. You sitting in a phone booth with you would be very.
Well, no, you gotta have your own phone booth. I'm not sitting in no phone booth with you.
It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on CoVA Sports TV. Like, share, and subscribe.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And we're back here for the final segment of today's program, an early edition, so I can skedaddle on over to James Madison University for the State Football Championships. Andy Hayes and yours truly will have the call for you from Harrisonburg Bridgeforth Stadium. Mark Fowle on the call at Liberty University, and also games going on in Salem Stadium as the Class 1 final features Essex against Grayson County. Class 2, unbeaten Graham, the G-Men, taking on the Strasburg Rams. And the Class 3 title game featuring unbeaten Liberty Christians Bulldogs, woof woof, taking on the Cougars of Kettle Run out of Oaksville. Before Phoebus and Varina square off at Liberty, we thank Gary Hess from RVA stopping by. 17-14 is Woody's pick for the Phantoms today. Ed and I both had the Phantoms squeaking by the Blue Devils. And in your Class 5 and Class 6 title games, unbeaten Morey trying to repeat as state champs taking on Briarwoods, while the Class 6 title game at 5 o'clock tonight features undefeated Oscar Smith squaring off against unbeaten Madison in a rematch of the 2021 title game at Old Dominion. And you can check out our interview from On the Hash with Hatfield with Justin Counts of the Warhawks. If you missed that this week, it's up on VirginiaPreps.com. Also our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel, as well as our conversations with Troy Salamana of the Phoebus Phantoms and Jeremy Blunt of the Phantoms 2. Ed, it is now time for some NFL picks in the league where they play for pay. Let's review where we are through last week and where we are on the season. Last week's results, well, not too pretty for me. 1-2. I misfired on Bills -3.5 against the Rams, who won outright. Misfired on Dallas +5.5 as the Cowboys can't cover the ball on a special teams kick. What is wrong with these jokers? Bengals win at 27-20, and I did get a win on over 44.5, the Bears and the Niners. Ed missed on the Cardinals -2.5, who couldn't get the job done at home against the Seahawks. I guess he's done picking my Arizona boys. Pittsburgh, Cleveland under 43.5, just squeaked under at 27-14. Stillus. Dolphins -5.5. Did you ever get lucky on that? 32-26 over the Jets in OT. I say you got lucky, 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 ducky. Did you ever get lucky? You sure did in that one. For the season, 22-20 for Edward, 22-20 for Bruce Pearl, who was a perfect 3-0 last week, folks. Bucks -6.5, a winner, 28-13. Dolphins -5.5. Well, Ed copycatted Bruce, otherwise he'd have been 1-2. And Chargers, Superchargers, +3.5. They got it done for Mr. Pearl. So here we have it for this week. Pearl goes first, then Ed gets to go. Here's Bruce week 15 picks. He's going Saints Marching in at home plus the 7.5. Doesn't mean that they went out right, but they can cover. It means they lose by a touchdown or less. They get a win against the Commanders for Bruce. Chiefs minus 4.5. Uh-oh, Bob Lanham does not like that. I'm not on that one, Bob. I think the Chiefs will get upset by Cleveland. I'm stamping it for Bob. Going to Salem today, Jameis Winston will channel his inner Otto Graham. Like the Graham G-men who will win today in Class 2. Yeah, that's the word this week, Graham. Crackers, Ed. Crackers. And Dolphins plus 2.5. Going back to the well is Brucey Boy, who had them last week. They are a slight pup in Houston against the up and down, inconsistent C.J. Stroud-led Houston Texans. So those are his picks for this week. And now, Ed, the floor is yours for your first selection. Then I'll take 2, you take 2, and I get the last one. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not going to copy Bruce, but I'm going to go to the same game Bruce has. And I'm going, and I haven't picked them much this year, I'm going with the Commanders minus 7.5. I think.
So you're putting a checker on a checker. You're going opposite Bruce.
Opposite Bruce, because if not, then this is a fixed game. If they don't beat them by 10 or more, this game is definitely a Famboozle type game. It is a fix.
Wow. So that's your first selection for this week in the league where they play for pay. I get to take 2, and I'm going to consult Mr. Hatfield over here, who had 2 perfect weeks, by the way, in NFL picks this year, straight up, no point spreads. I'm going to consult him if he concurs on these picks, if it's worth my gamble or not on a couple of these, as Ed's screen now disappears. And we lost Ed. We literally lost Ed as you came walking by. Unbelievable. So we lost Ed. Yeah, Ed just disappeared. So we'll see if we can get Ed back up here as his computer just chopped off. Otherwise, Ed will just have 1 pick this week, and that'll be the end of him. So while we get Ed back, I looked through these picks, and I don't love any of these, but I have a couple of over-unders that stick out. Cincinnati and Tennessee, the total is 46.5. Bengals can score about 30-something themselves, and I think the Titans can score. So I will go over the 46.5 for Cincy and Tennessee while we try to get Edward back here. And for some reason we have on the NFL results, we don't have the score posted yet for the Niners and the Rams on our ticker, which I'm now noticing. But I can tell the folks out there, if you didn't watch that snoozer of a game on Thursday night, it was Rams 12, Niners 6. It was a field goal game, no touchdown score, which I think was 400-1. So the first pick is we now have Ed back, as the aliens came and got him, but they let him go. He said, give me 10 more minutes and I'll come join you on the spaceship. First pick that you missed. Yeah, go ahead. What did you miss?
That was on my end?
That was on your end.
Jesus. I got to change stream services.
Yeah, change your stream service. So my first pick that you missed was over 46.5 for Bengals Titans, which I get the thumbs up from Mr. Hatfield over here. Another one I'm going to go with because he told me to, and he's picking the outright upset in Philadelphia, Ed. He likes the Steelers to beat the Eagles outright in Philly, but I'm getting 5.5 points, which means if they lose by 5 or less, I still win. So I'm going to take his word on this one and go Pittsburgh plus the 5.5, representing the 757 Denby alum, William & Mary great Mike Tomlin, the head ball coach of the Steelers. And the Eagles have had some drama this week with quarterback Jalen Hurts and wide receiver A.J. Brown. I wonder how Edward would handle that drama. Nonetheless, the floor is yours for your next 2 and last 2 on this particular state championship Saturday for Week 15 in the NFL.
Okay. Give me over 45.5 Buccaneers Chargers.
Over 45.5 for Bucks and Chargers. That was one I was considering. So you must have talked to Nunzio's cousin Lorenzo down there in Little Italy to get that one. All right. What's the next one?
And the next one, which would be my last one, is what I want to try. I'm going to say Falcons minus 3.5 over my hapless Raiders.
Wow. Wouldn't it be beautiful if the Raiders lose this by 3 and Ed loses his pick just to make him double whammy miserable? That would just be beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Tell you what, there's some tough ones this week. Bills and Lions is the game of the week.
Yeah, it really is.
But 54.5 is a lot of points for that game. You think that goes under or over? It's probably under.
It goes over.
Oh, you think it goes over? Do you really? You think it's high scoring?
Yeah, I do.
Really? Wow. Do I go over 54.5? That's a lot of points. And if it doesn't work, Ed, that means no peanuts for Mr. Hatfield for Christmas. Oh no. No peanuts for Christmas. Oh my God.
That would be a disaster.
That would be a disaster. That would be a disaster.
I love my peanuts.
Wait. You said he loves his peanuts.
I love my peanuts.
I saw the YouTube video.
Well, maybe I should lay off that game. I don't know. 54.5, you feel pretty good about that? You really do? Okay, we're going to take I feel the other way, but we'll go with the points. Why not? We'll bank on overtime and somebody scored, not tying at 27-27 to get over the total for Lions and Bills. If I don't return his calls, we know the answer. Yeah. Well, there you go. Those are the 3 picks for me this week. Over 46.5 for Bengals Titans, over 54.5 for Lions Bills, and Pittsburgh plus the 5.5. Somebody might be thrown overboard. Ed's going Washington Commanders minus the 7.5. He's going Atlanta minus the 3.5. And he's taking an over as well, 45.5 Bucks and Chargers. Watch this be a low-scoring week. And Bruce's picks, the co-leader with Coach Young, plus 7.5 for the Saints, minus 4.5 for the Chiefs, and plus 2.5 for the Fins. Those are your selections for Week 15. And we've gone just over 2 hours of showtime, and that's going to do it for this episode. Ed, it was a lot of fun. Should be some state championship games today. You got your mobile device, right? Get that NFHS Network app on your phone, and you can check out the gorgeous one from JMU. Please.
This is why the hat had to use that switch many a days back in the day.
Yeah. We got a belt last night. It's another story for another time. Say something funny. We are out of time.
It wasn't a WWF though either.
Nope, not a WWE. It used to be WWF. Yeah, they got sued by the World Wildlife Federation or something, or foundation, and then it became the WWE. Ed loves that fake wrestling. He does. He dragged me to one of those shows. Was it the Masonic Temple in Norfolk? Oh yeah, he's got a WWE belt. Look at his belt.
Yeah, he's ready.
He's ready.
Yes, he
He's
is.
got it. That's going to do it for this episode. We thank you all for tuning in. Like, share, and subscribe to our CoVA Sports TV YouTube channel for more childish adolescent pranks and commentary and all kinds of weirdness, antics, semantics, everything in between.
You never know. And we hadn't even talked about Chapel Hill Bill on today's show either, about all those.
You know who we got to get on next week is Andrew Jones of Tar Heel Illustrator, a good pal who covers UNC wall to wall. You know Andrew, we've had AJ on before. Big Orioles fan too, by the way. We'll have to get AJ on the show next week. We got to get David Glenn on. We got a lot of people we got to get on the show, but we have all kinds of time as we count it down, 11 days away from Christmas, and Ed's got to get some shopping done today to make sure his co-host is happy on December 25th.
I'm going to be consistent. You'll get what you got the last 3 years in a row because you seem to like it.
That's what Robert Jackson of Lansdowne told me the other night. You and Jax are not friends of mine, actually. Y'all should get some coal in your stockings.
Coaches sometimes think a lot. Think alike a lot.
Yeah, I noticed that.
We'll
talk to you next time. We'll talk to you next time. Enjoy State Championship Saturday. Have a great one. We'll see you on the 21st of December on CoVA Sports TV.
That was fun.